Good morning. This is the Blaze World Podcast, where conversations are worth hearing and seeing. You can watch us each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And for more information about past episodes and this show as well, you can look at my website behind me, which is blainsworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, coming to you from my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. Each week, we focus on positive news and uplifting stories that people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce Missy Bell, who's a film director, among other things, to be my guest today. And Missy, feel free to wave to all your fans and friends who are watching this. Okay, and this is kind of a real treat for me, Missy, because we've been talking about this for a while. I've had you on the show a couple of times in the past. And I think the last time we were talking about this is what you were working on, and now you have it.
Yeah,
And that's pretty cool. So now it's actually done, the film?
yeah, ready to go.
Okay, well, very exciting. So talk a little bit about this. So this is now you coming off the air. This is the first time you actually direct a full-length film.
Yes, yes. I've done many shorts, 14 shorts, but this is my debut feature.
And so what's been the difference then between doing the shorts and this doing your debut feature?
Doing a feature feels like directing a whole short every day. And I have to remember that, like going in each day, it's very exhausting. It's a really grueling process. And I love it. But it's many, many hours. It's 10 to 12 hours every day, was our sort of goal on set. And it's just it's a very big grind. And I think that I really learned how much more I needed to take care of myself. And like physically, I needed to make sure I was eating better and getting as much sleep as I could, in the little bit of time that I would have to do those things. And remind myself also to sit down. All of my crew will tell you I struggle to sit down when I'm working. And so for this film, I really worked very hard, knowing that it was going to be a much longer process and when I had an opportunity to sit. So
Well,
that's
it's
the
funny because I
difference.
sometimes have a statement or belief that sometimes I have to slow down to speed up. Sometimes I'm
Yes.
just doing so many things at once. And just like you said, just catch my breath sometimes is needed. you know.
Yes.
And so the process itself, so how long have you been involved in putting this film together?
This particular film, let's see. I wrote it, I believe, in, let's see, 2023. We shot it at the end of 2024. It was 54 days after Helene. We were on set. And then throughout 2025, it was in the post-production process. And then we had our screening for just the cast and crew in December. And since then, we've been working on building up marketing, putting a tour together, submitting to festivals, things like that. And so now we're at our world premiere, which is the first public screening, happening August 29th. And we decided to premiere it here in town.
Okay, pretty exciting. The when you're putting the film together, so talk about that process. Did you wrote the film also?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. So wow, it's like a Woody Allen type thing, where you do everything, So
Yeah.
you wrote, you directed, you helping with marketing, helping with the filming of the film.
I'm a co-producer on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means you get the right to do everything. And we should mention,
Yes.
give a shout out. So I like a co-producer. You had another co-producer with you, and who is that?
Yeah, that's Michael Bell. We're married,
Okay. So
but he's my co-producer. Yeah.
okay, you were lucky because I guess that's pretty exciting that he was, because otherwise you have situations like too many times that he could be bitching and moaning, but here he's not going to because he's involved in it now.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
especially and he said also, aside from being co-producer, he's doing other work on the film.
He was the cinematographer as
Uh,
well. Yeah.
So what is it like? Everybody does a little bit of everything in this film?
That's independent filmmaking. Yeah. So everyone really pitched in. It was a huge labor of love. I don't let my actors do crew things. I don't let them carry and schlep or like do things like that. I want them to work on their emotional stuff and stay um, focused. But everyone in the crew really helped each other and carried things and took on different jobs and, made sure there was coffee. We were all just helping each other.
So you were telling me, how many actual days did the filming take?
We um we were actually shooting for 15 days. And then there were two prep days for like the crew would show up to prep the space in the different locations. And we had 2 full days of that and then 15 days of shooting.
Now, how did you learn all this stuff?
Well, I actually got started, let me go way back. Um, I've been directing theater for a long time. I did that for many, many years. Since I was 19, I directed my first stage play. And then in 2018, I directed my first movie, short film with the Asheville School of Film with Brad Hoover, which the Asheville School of Film is not functioning right now. But Brad, who is a mentor for me, he really encouraged me to direct. I directed the student film with him, and then he actually made possible my second short film by shooting it for me, helping me crew it out, helping me find locations, and kind of guided me through the process. So I learned a lot through theater and the School of Film, and then after that, just doing it. Lots of trial and error.
Now, before this, you mentioned you did theater. I didn't know
Yeah.
you, I guess, at one time as an actor, or what were you directing?
So I acted and directed. I did a lot of work. I started in theater in Pennsylvania, and then I moved to Maryland and did work kind of regionally there. And then here in Asheville, I got involved with Anam Cara Theater Company
Okay.
really early, and I directed and acted for them quite a lot before they kind of lost their space at Toy Boat.
And so when you were doing in Pennsylvania, where were you in Pennsylvania?
I was in the Harrisburg area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So out of all the stuff that you're doing in terms of the acting, directing, film, theater, do you have a preference? What I typically ask actors in particular, so you've acted and you've directed, do you have a preference to acting or directing?
Oh, it's definitely directing.
Is it?
Yeah, acting still feels to me like putting on like a comfortable jacket. I started acting way before I directed. I was like 3 the
Sure.
first time I got on stage. And
Wait,
so
how old were you?
3.
Yeah. What was that role?
Oh, it was like a church play. My dad's a pastor,
Yeah.
so I had the opportunity to like play the Virgin Mary 11 times. So like it was a lot. And church is a performance-y anyway, so I got a lot of chances to
But
do.
then you got upset by being typecast, the Virgin. But
Yes.
I digress. What's the church, and I participated in a couple of times, that does the story of Christ? Every year they do
Mm,
the
the passion. I don't know.
anyway, the church does it and they go through the steps of the visit. I was always upset that I wanted to be baby Jesus and they never chose me. And instead they said they want to be a jackass, and that I said I could do. But
Oh
no, you don't, I forget the name of it, but it's one of the local churches. And they have like 50 people act in it,
no.
and
Oh,
you walk
cool.
through each of Christ's steps. It's very interesting. But after
Yeah.
you gave up then Virgin Mary, you got kicked out of being Virgin Mary. You can no longer
Eventually. Yeah.
be Virgin Mary anyway. By the way, is there a record of this anywhere? These films?
Oh man. Well, those are stage plays. I'm sure my parents
Oh,
have
it shows.
pictures. But my first like very legit, like not a school play or whatever, what was I did I had a very serious like high school musical theater program. And I was in A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the
Okay.
Forum as a younger person. That was when I really got into it and decided like, oh, I want to do this. And then in college, I was in plays, and then I had a professor tell me that I was really talented in directing. I directed like a little thing I wrote, and she pulled me aside and she was like,
Very cool.
I think you're a good actor. I really like if you want to pursue that, do it. But I see you as a very gifted director, and I think that you should try to do that.
By the way, put you on the spot. The person's name is? Is that
Oh,
person still around?
Valerie Flower. She
Still around?
is. Yeah, she
Okay.
teaches in Philadelphia now. She's still a theater professor. Yeah,
Okay, but we'll have to send a copy of this clip and say
for sure.
hey Valerie, that's very cool that you
Yeah,
remember it because I like it that people recognize the teachers, but you're not telling the absolute truth. I contend, Missy, or some people don't. I'll ask many actors they prefer acting or directing, and oftentimes they
directing.
say directing, but the real reason, if you were honest with me, you tell me because you don't have to memorize the lines. Yeah,
I don't like, I mean, that's the least favorite thing, right?
exactly.
For sure, but mostly I think it's directing. I really like painting these pictures, and seeing like I like directing the audience's attention. I think maybe it's a control issue, but I do love
Now, is
that.
that also interesting? I've never spoken to you or anybody about this, but difference between directing stage versus film. What
Yeah.
is the difference?
In stage, you have a lot less control of what the audience sees.
Yeah,
They're seeing the whole stage the whole time, so you can move their attention around with lighting, things like that, with costumes, like make this a brighter color, put them in the spotlight. But in film, I can have someone look at the text in a cookbook. I can have them, I want you to look at this wine glass right now. And so there's so much more. It's people say it's a difference between like a telescope and a microscope, and
interesting.
film is a microscope. So you're seeing, and then acting is much more subdued in film. Everything is here in the eyes, not a lot in the body. And in theater, you want to project like really big in your body. You want to have bigger facial expressions. And film, you have to kind of bring everything in.
So when you're writing something or directing something, I guess that's the idea. You have a vision of how you want it to see. Like you can
Yeah.
read a book or you can write a story, and as you're doing it, you kind of can see in your mind how it's going to look.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. When I'm writing, I definitely have a really clear picture. Then I try to put my writer self away in like a closet and put on my director hat and think, okay, now, I saw the movie sort of in my mind as a writer, but now I'm going to be a little bit more realistic as a producer director. What can we really afford? And how can I make the most of every moment, and really tap into the right emotional things to get the audience to feel what I want them to feel?
So when you wrote Erased, and right, you were the writer of it as well,
Yeah.
you'd write it with the idea that you're going to make a film out of it?
Oh, yeah. I It is really hard in the film industry if you've never made a feature film
Sure.
to get to make a feature film. People are like, well, have you ever made a feature before? And I have to say no. And then they say, well, we don't know if you can handle a feature until you make one. So I thought to myself, if no one is going to hand me this opportunity, I will make this opportunity. And so I wrote Erased, um, with in mind, like, I am going to make this in Asheville. I'm going to cast people I know, and I'm going to just get a feature on my resume. So it started there.
This reminds me almost like a Mickey Rooney, Judy Garland type thing. Let's all get together. We're going to get together, we're going to make a film and get everybody acting in it.
Yeah.
That's almost like what it was, I guess. You just had this idea. And did you ever think like Race, could it have been a play as well? Or would that ever happen? Would it ever be a play after the fact?
I I don't see it as a play. I think it could be one. I think most things can be translated into plays if you have the right mind for that. Um, I think it's better as a film because it can be much more intimate. Like there are moments where, like I see the camera as sort of another person. And so I like try to put the camera right with the people. So in a film, you can be in their conversation so close, in ways that you can't in theater. So that would be my preference for this.
Because you say that, I'm thinking of the film Once. It was one of my favorite.
Yeah,
I saw the
beautiful.
film, but did you ever see the show?
I didn't.
Yeah, and I
No.
didn't like it nearly as much. I loved it as if it was one of my favorite
Interesting.
films of all time. The show
Yeah.
was okay, even though it won lots of awards.
Yeah.
But that really happens, right? It oftentimes a film will become a movie with a musical
Hmm.
or vice versa, but it's rare that it happens the other way around, right? That a show becomes a movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes, but yeah, it's hard to if it's written for one thing, I think it's
Right.
hard to make it something else.
So talk about a race then. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Sure.
Maybe kind of give a Reader's Digest summary, keeping it under like 25 minutes. Can you do
Oh,
that?
yes, absolutely. Yeah. So it is about a man named Evan Henderson, and he is about to make the business deal of his life. His boss says, if you can get all this together by 9 a.m., we're going to get this merger. You're going to be wealthy. His girlfriend, who up to now has said she doesn't want to get married, says, if you get this deal, I will marry you. Like, this is a life changing. And so it's this life changing thing, and he starts to work on it, and it's night and it's raining and there's thunder, and suddenly this kid is at his door, and it's his son, who he had when he was 15. He got his girlfriend pregnant, and he decided he didn't want to be a dad, and he has tried to erase this
Oh,
boy from his life. But now Tristan, the boy, is at his door and wants to know why. Why did you not want to be my dad? And so Evan has to choose between, am I going to work on this deal? Am I going to get this deal that's going to make me successful? Or am I going to build a relationship with this stranger who is my son? And so that's the story.
did the his girlfriend who wants to get married, did she know about this boy beforehand?
No, no, no.
Which she eventually finds out?
She does. I don't want to spoil too
Okay, well,
much,
no,
but she does find out. Yes. She did not know. No. And they even have a discussion in the very first scene, where she says, "You haven't changed your mind about wanting to have kids." And he's like, "No, I'm really happy with what I have. I don't want they didn't want kids ever."
so what gave you the idea for this?
So, um, I was sitting in the car thinking about how am I going to make myself a feature? And I thought about two actors I've worked with a lot, Thomas Townsend and Elias Hamilton.
I know,
And
yeah.
yeah, you probably know Eli from local theater.
Right.
And I've worked with both of them a lot, and I thought I think that they would work for me, and I think that they would be on board. And I thought about their age difference, and Thomas is in his 30s and Eli is young. And I thought, well, what about a father-son story? And when I did the math, Thomas's character would have had to been a teen dad. And so that started forming the story for me. How can I make a conflict around this dad and son? And immediately I thought, okay, well, they're estranged. There's something wrong. They're just meeting each other for the first time. And so I started writing it with just those two characters, thinking it might be just a two character movie. But then I kept thinking about, I'm a mom. And so I kept thinking, this kid's mom is worried about him. Like somewhere, she's somewhere. He's only 18. He's an adult, but not really. And so then the character of Stacy came to mind, and that's Lauren H. Davis is playing Stacy. And she's phenomenal. I found her. I knew I needed a Stacy, and I was working at the Magnetic Theater. We were in the one act there together, Eli and Lauren and I was in the dressing room, and I saw Eli standing next to Lauren, and I thought they look kind of alike.
Oh, really?
And I asked Lauren, I said, "Hey, Lauren, we've worked together a lot. Would you be interested in being in my movie?" And she said, I'd like to read the script. I can't just say yes. It's a huge commitment. And so I invited her and Thomas and Eli to the table read, and we read it. And I asked Lauren, I texted her right after and I said, "Okay, you read the script. Are you into it?" And she was like, "Yes, like I'm absolutely interested. I loved it. Let's do it."
You
So,
mentioned magnetic. It brings back memories when there was a magnetic theater. I miss it so
yeah.
much. And also, you said you were in the dressing room. I remember too, they had this, remember the spacious dressing room at the
Oh,
magnetic.
yes.
Just like comes to mind. So, people then, to their credit, these actors, you mentioned eight in the play and eight in the movie. It's, I guess, a labor of love they're doing this for.
So, um, how we set it up was that they are all, none of them were paid up front,
Right.
but they all have shares in the film. So that's not normal. Like a Hollywood movie, usually the actors don't get a piece of the
Sure.
profit. But these actor, every single person that worked on it, cast and crew, if the film makes any money, they will also make money. So they really did it because they believed in it and in me and the story. Um, and they know that like they might not get anything. I fed them really well. We were really, we had a really kind set. But yeah, they all own part of the film. And if the film makes money, they will make money.
How about also, is that the same to your crew? Do
So,
they don't get paid?
the majority of the crew has shares in the film.
Nice.
Um, a couple of the people on post, my editor and colorist, and some of these people who didn't know me, um, they got some like a kind of a combo pay and profit sharing. So some of them got like a smaller profit share and more actual pay. So it was an interesting, everybody had a little different contract.
And talking about just putting together the film, so this is something else you had to do. Not only did you have to film it and get it done and to market, but you had to also, I guess, finance it. That's a big thing with any
Yeah.
film, financing it as well. I'm trying to recall, and if I participated in it, did you do any GoFundMe stuff like that?
Not for this one. So for this one, I took out a loan, which I took a huge bet on it on myself. Not as huge a loan. Like this is not $1 million movie. We didn't have that kind of money. But we took out enough that we could pay for the locations, everybody's food, some of the equipment to pay some of the people in post production, and to get we got some lenses for the camera because lenses are a really good investment for filmmaking. Yeah, and all the production design. So some of the wardrobe, some of the like set dressing, things like that. We had budget for those things.
So I guess that's one of the toughest things you have to do putting together this film to figure out how to pay for it, you know.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
terrifying. It's the hardest part.
had you before you started, did you have a budget in mind?
So the actual amount of money that was spent on the film was a little under 40,000. And that includes like everything. If we had paid everyone
Right,
in the traditional manner and there was not profit sharing, it would be a budget, like a Hollywood budget of like 150,000, which
right.
is nothing for Hollywood, but quite a lot in for a
Asheville.
small time filmmaker. Yeah.
Asheville. So let's now talk about then. So we know what the film is about. You mentioned that you have a cast of 8. Mention a couple of names. Who else is in the film?
Sure. So my leads are Thomas Townsend, Elias Hamilton, Lauren Davis, and then Adrian, who's the girlfriend that I mentioned. She is played by Jamie Burrows. She's the only actress that isn't local. She's from the DC area. And then some of the smaller supporting cast, Molly Graves
Okay,
plays,
you
you
know,
know Molly, she plays one of the cops.
great. Okay, very. I loved her when I see her on stage. She's a very talented actor. So great. I know Molly. Who else?
Yeah. Erin Yarbara,
Okay.
who you're probably familiar with. Molly and Aaron play the police that come when the mom realizes her kid is missing, doesn't know where he is, so she calls the police. And so that's Molly and Aaron. And then Mark Sundara plays the doorman at Evan's penthouse apartment. And we see him for a couple moments in the film. And then finally, Laura Cuellar plays the waitress. Um,
Also, I'm so excited because again, I know Molly and Aaron are familiar with their work, so that's kind
yeah.
of exciting. So I'll know somebody to it. But that's really cool. So you got it cast. You got how 15 days is a relatively short time for film, was it?
So short. When you see a movie like, in the movie theater, you see an A-list production, the average that they shoot is 90 days. So shooting a feature in 15 days, a lot of people in independent film are shooting 30 days and under just to be able to afford it. And so, because the thing that's the most expensive on a film set is a day. And so we shot it in 15 days, and it was really hard. Really hard. And I think that the way that we made it work and the choices that I personally made were to do less setups, less camera setups, and more focus on the actors and on blocking, which I feel grateful for my theater experience to be able to effectively block a scene. And there aren't as many shots like you see a standard Hollywood film has like 700 to 1,000 shots, sometimes more. Our film has less than 400 shots. And so, yeah, it's a simpler feeling, much more like the older movies that we've been talking about. There's not as much camera movement, for example. The camera is still a lot more often than we're used to now. So that's how we kind of save the time. I wanted to not sacrifice emotional work and acting so I could really spend time with the actors. So we did less shots.
Were they 15, I guess, long days though?
Yeah, we averaged like between 10 and 12 hours on set a day.
And so I guess also then the retakes were minimal in terms of when you shot a scene. You didn't go back and
Yeah, I think the most takes that we had, I think the most takes we had were 12, but I'm a short take director anyway. I usually see what I want to see by the second or third take, and every actor kind of has their own little process. So some actors like warm up into takes, and some actors give you their best thing right away. So you kind of learn this person is like a one or two take person. This is like a four or five take person, and you work with it. But I like to stay, I think we averaged four takes, something like that.
so after then the film was done after the 15 days.
Yeah.
Describe it. So it didn't show next day. It took you then almost another year or two to get it ready.
Yeah.
What
So
did that entail?
so first, we had to, kind of put all the data together. Our assistant editor, Mavi Marcos, did that. She's also one of the vocalists in one of the songs on the film. She put together all the things for my editor, who then started putting together a very rough cut of it. The first cut is actually an assembly cut. So she's just like, this is the order I think it goes in. And she sends that to me and says, what do you think about the order? And then we start into a rough cut, and it's more about kind of the pacing of things and which take we're definitely going to use of that shot. And she worked on that for a couple of months. And then once she had it pretty close, with my notes, we went back and forth, and I gave her notes many times. She was in DC, so she would send it to me via internet, and I would send notes back. And then I spent a week in DC with her at her apartment working on the fine cut together. So getting it really, really finished and fine tuned. And that was about, see, January, February, March. That was like a 4 month process, all of that. And then we had a sound editor who did kind of a sound pass and finalized all the sound and did the Foley art on it and added in sort of sounds like bugs outside and things like that, and rain, thunder. And then I had a colorist who made it look beautiful, and a composer who did all of the scoring, all the musical scoring. And so all of those people took time with it until it was really ready to go.
So when you were doing that, did it cut down the length of it? In other words, originally you had like 3 hours worth of film and then you get it down to 80 minutes.
So I think, yeah, I think we didn't cut out a whole lot. Um I think we probably cut about 10 minutes of what we had. And I think that my editor was right to do that. There were just some moments that didn't work as well with the pacing. There's a beautiful shot that's actually in the trailer that is not in the movie of Evan. His girlfriend leaves the house and he finds out, or his apartment, and he's like, okay, I got to work on this deal. It's big, all this pressure. And what was left in the movie is that he looks at his cell phone and he kind of tosses it behind him. It's kind of comical. And then we cut to the next scene. And what we shot was that he puts his phone down. He only threw his phone in one take, but we were going with like a funny moment. And so she used that take, the editor. But what we shot, what I intended was that he put his phone down and then he had his shirt was unbuttoned because he had been ready to like go to bed, done with the day. And he goes over to the window and looks out the window and he sees his own reflection and he buttons his shirt back up because he's going to go back to work. And you saw like the rain on the window and it's really beautiful, but it was a long time of footage that we ended up not needing. So we cut it.
By the way, you mentioned the trailer. Is that available now, or can
It
people see it?
is, yeah. There are a couple different trailers that you can definitely watch. Um, Go
Well, can
ahead.
you do this at your convenience? Don't mention it on the air, but send that to me and I'll put it in the description. If you want
Sure.
to see the trailer, that'd be great. If you want to see, get a feel for the film, because now you got me curious. But the
Good.
same token, and you and I have been talking about this, you're getting ready now for the first public showing, I guess. And that's going to
Yes.
be when and where?
That is August 29th at the Wortham Center for the Performing Arts.
Okay, so that's pretty exciting. And there, a bunch of tickets can be sold. If
Yeah.
people want to come to that, what's the procedure? How do you get
So,
tickets?
yeah, so you can get tickets at the Wortham Center website. They're on there. We're on their like front page of events right now because it's coming up very soon. Or you can go to mousehouse.productions slash erased dash film. And at that spot, you can see right at the top is the world premiere tickets. You can click on it. It takes you right to the ticketing site. And I do recommend getting them in advance because it is assigned seating. It's not general seating. And at that event, I'm very excited about it because it's not just a screening of the movie. We're going to have our composer, Josh, is coming down from Connecticut. He's going to play a prelude on the grand piano based on the score. I'm going to talk to people. We're going to watch the movie. And our soundtrack band from Philly, which is a punk band, they're coming down and they're going to actually play the credits live. So the credits will be scrolling in there. They're going to play. And then afterwards, we're going to have a mixer where you can meet and greet with the cast and
Oh, very
crew.
cool.
There will be merch for sale. Our key artist, Ronnie Nielsen, will be there with they designed like the poster art and that all of the art that's on all of our merchandise and they're going to be there selling their art and they can sign things for people and it'll be a really cool opportunity.
Now, yeah, I have to ask you, will they also get a chance to see you and others walk down the red carpet? Or are we going to have red
Yes,
carpet? Are you
yes.
really? Oh,
There's a
nice.
red carpet. Yeah, so the event starts at 7:30 on the 29th, but the red carpet starts at 7 and there will be, the backdrop, it'll say erase, there will be a red carpet. We have a photographer and yeah, people should dress fancy and I think it'll be a really fun night.
Okay, so talk about the fact that I told you, unfortunately, I won't be able to
Yeah.
come, and I really want to be there. But
Yeah,
if people miss that, so you mentioned, and by the way, send that to me also. You'll send me the list of other screenings,
absolutely.
and also how to get tickets and dates and stuff like that. And I'll put that in the description below. Um, if they miss the 29th, which I'm going to, how
Yeah.
else do they get to see it?
So we have a whole tour that's being put together as we speak, but there are many local screenings that will be coming up after the premiere. The first one is September 5th at the Lamplight, and that is going to be, oh, my hair's doing a weird thing. And that is going to be a really special screening with the key artist, Ronnie, who I mentioned, and we'll show the movie, and then they're going to talk about how they did the art for the film. Excuse me. There's going to be a screening at the Hop that's actually going to be free. The Hop is actually making a custom ice cream flavor for
Really?
the premiere.
Do you
Um,
know, can you reveal the name of it yet?
I
Or is it,
can this Friday. They're actually doing a flavor release party, and it is called Honey question mark Trust Me,
I love
and
it.
it's from the movie. In the movie, there's a sort of through line where we see Evan make coffee for his son, and he puts honey in it, which is not a kind of a non-traditional thing to put in coffee. And then later we see that Tristan's mom makes her coffee that way too. And so we see that even though they're so estranged, there's been this connection.
And since you mentioned, we'll give a shout out to the Garrisons, who are absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely cool.
Yes.
That is so cool that Greg and Ashley are doing this. I can't
Yes.
believe you have a ice cream for it as well. So it'll be
It's
at the
exciting.
Hop. When's that going to be?
So the one at the Hop, let me check my calendar to make sure I'm saying the right thing here. The Hop screening is September 12th. It is late night. It's at 9 o'clock. It's going to be later at night. They're having a special thing called Late Night at the Hop and Pop.
I love it.
And so it's going to be late, and the film is actually for mature audiences. It's not for kids. So it's going to be later at night so that we're not showing it to young kids who maybe shouldn't see that content.
Well, just to move to closure on this, but what's really exciting to me is the fact that you're getting a lot of the community involved in this as well. So in
Yeah.
terms of the other places showing, so it's the Hop, a couple other places going to be shown.
Yeah, Lamplight and the Hop, and then at Story Parlor, there's going to
Okay.
be a screening. It's part of their Just Us Girls series, so it's only for women. Um,
I love
and it's
Story
going to
Bar.
be kind of a sleepover vibe at Story Parlor, and that is September 25th. And then there's a screening that's specifically for men. Um, and that's going to be at Asheville Pizza and Brewing on October 20th. And that one is special because um, we're going to talk about sort of like the issues that are brought up in the film about like fatherhood and the pressure that kind of our culture puts on men to be successful, to make money, and all of these things that are, you know, more pressure for that kind of the male experience. And I'm not going to be there. But we actually have two like mental health professionals who are going to be there to kind of run a panel about that. And also the lead actor, Thomas Townsend, and Eli will be there. And my partner and co-producer Michael, they will all be there to kind of run a panel after that screening so that men can talk about these issues that they don't often get to talk about kind of at all um and kind of go through an emotional experience like
And so
that.
no offense to all these screenings,
Yeah.
but when do I instead then get to see it at the Fine Arts or I get to see the Carolinas? When do we get it?
So here's the thing about that.
Yeah,
The Fine Arts is not doing as many screenings that are focused on independent films right now.
right.
As far as independent, small time local filmmakers,
Sure.
I'm trying to convince them. So give them a call and tell them that we should do a screening there.
I
Um,
definitely will.
and then as far as like the Cinemark, things like that, I would love to screen with them. Unfortunately, the only way without a distributor, which I don't have, I'm doing distribution
Sure.
myself. The only way without a distributor is to do a rental. And to rent something like the Cinemark, AMC, things like that, they charge a whole lot. It's like $2,500. And so doing multiple screenings there, I couldn't even make my money back on a movie ticket. So that's why we're doing it in all these different venues.
And it's a shame, as you're saying, that the Grail is no longer here because I used to love the Grail, and that
They're
was
my people.
I
Yes,
love the Grail, but I'm hoping we'll talk about it off there. I hope they come back
me
and talk
too.
about it. But anyway, exciting stuff. So to wrap up, if folks want to get more information about the film or what's happening, what's the best first bet?
I would go to mousehouse.productions. That is my production company's website, and it has all the information on the film. It also links to tickets for all of the screenings, including the world premiere at the Wortham. So I would definitely go to mousehouse.productions first off.
Okay. And people also want to contact you for your next film or the next three films. They can
Yeah.
get contact information there as well.
They can. Yeah, absolutely. And all of my projects in development. So the script is written, it's ready to go. We're just waiting for funding. All of those projects are listed there with log lines and posters so people can kind of get a feeling for what that is.
Exciting stuff, Missy Bell, and especially like I said, since we've been talking about this for a while, so now to see it come to fruition,
Yeah.
just upset I can't come next week, but lots of luck with it.
Thank
And
you.
it sounds very exciting. So I'd like to thank you for being my guest on this edition of the Blaine's World podcast. Also, like to thank my producer, Kim Jones. And one of these days, if not sooner, we'll see you. Do you plan to be at each of the screenings?
I will. I should be at all of the screenings. And hopefully some more festival screenings and screenings all around the country coming up. So yeah.
Okay. Anyway, lots of luck with it. And I'm so proud of you. Great job.
Thank you. Appreciate that.